Portland, is it time for full equality? No, y'all don't sound like it's time for full equality here. Portland, Oregon, is it time for full equality? There we go. I am Giovanni Blair McKenzie, one of the Human Rights Campaign's first set of youth ambassadors. And I am so proud to join this organization that has been working towards LGBTQ equality for 35 years. 35 years. Let's give that a round of applause. When I'm not an ambassador, I'm serving as the founder and president of QI, the Queer Intersections Force, and executive director of Queer Intersections Portland, an organization fiscally sponsored by our very own Q Center. QI is one of the only two organizations across the country solely dedicated to building power and leadership amongst LGBTQ youth of color and advocating on their behalf. I am a Black, Hispanic, Panamanian, East Indian, Jamaican, queer, and genderqueer young immigrant. All of these identities affect the way I see the world and the way the world sees me. Many believe that we live in a post-racial or colorblind world. Simply put, that isn't true. Earlier this year, the United Nations Human Rights Council adopted a scathing report of 345 recommendations that address what the ACLU described as myriad human rights violation here in these United States. While the report applauded our LGBT rights and freedom of speech, it was on point when addressing racial inequality. As a young Black person who is typically perceived as a man, though I don't identify with that gender, I face the reality that I am seen as a threat. I can be arrested, assaulted, or even killed because of perception. And as you know, due to my skin color, justice looks differently. And to quote Dr. King, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Ain't that right? And even in the great state of Oregon, we can find injustice. Living in our state are youth of color who are also lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning. Like me, these youth feel invisible, and they feel powerless. We are criminalized. We are told by our greater community that we are weak, we are ugly, and we have zero value. We are underrepresented. While we have a Black president and openly LGBTQ public officials, I can only identify one LGBT person of color in all of Congress. That's a shame. I'm a citizen of a developing country with no legal protection for its LGBT people, but instead, an international image of being known as one of the most unsafe places in the world to be an LGBT person. Oh yeah, I'm Black in America. And I also live under the poverty line. I am told by statistics that I'm the perfect host for HIV. During our HRC Youth Ambassador Summit, I shared with the group how I feel like a ticking clock for disease that seems to affect Black, queer, and trans lives more than any other group in this country. Thank you, Cascades Project, Multnomah County, for your HIV educational programs. But in addition to all these complexities that I must face, I've always questioned my own gender. My gender identity has caused me more pain than anything else. I spent 16 years in a country where people are killed for how they love and how they express their gender. I never knew I would live past 18. To me, it was a fantasy. The only time an LGBT person was mentioned in Jamaican media was to announce their murder. Imagine a life when you woke up each day to the news of your people's death. Imagine a life when you woke up knowing your people made music supporting your death. And imagine a life where it was allowed and it was the norm. Up until recently, I thought faking a cisgender identity would save me from my daily struggles. Now, I slowly start to think differently. And I have brave transgender women like Laverne Cox, Daniela Carter, Jeanette Mock, and now Miss Caitlyn Jenner to thank for that. So, what does an inclusive, welcoming, and unified movement look like? Unity looks like President Barack Obama working alongside HRC and local LGBT advocacy groups to address anti-LGBT discrimination in the Caribbean region. A US president spoke out against homophobia and transphobia in the most unsafe place to be an LGBT person in the Western Hemisphere. That's what unity looks like. It was a year ago that Basic Rights Oregon and Pride Foundation joined forces with immigrant and refugee organizations like APANO, Oregon Voice, and the Center for Intercultural Organizing to campaign for Measure 88. Though the campaign failed, I knew for the first time that Portland's LGBTQ community had my back as an immigrant. And that's what unity looks like. We must begin recognizing that human beings are complex, and so are their needs. I need Cascade AIDS Project as much as I need HRC, and I need feminism as much as I need Black Lives Matter. So Oregon, are you ready for full equality? Wait, HRC, this doesn't sound like Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon, are you ready for full equality? Now this sounds like Portland, and yes, we are. Thank you.